What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are all having a great time. I just wanted to make this quick video to remind you all that my sale is going to end in a couple of days. I believe I made the expiration date March 1st. So if you haven't booked your session yet, using my coupon code, I highly recommend using it now. You can book your session for a later date. Your session does not need to be scheduled within this month, but the discount code only applies till the end of the month. And the code is Firehorse. Okay, so I made this deal in honor of the Chinese New Year and the excitement for this year, the year of the Firehorse. I don't know when I'll have another sale like this, so my price will go back to normal rate. And with that being said, one of the reasons why I think booking a session right now will be very valuable to you is to understand how this Mercury retrograde will be affecting you personally. And also with Neptune and Saturn moving into Aries, and with the upcoming Uranus going into Gemini. This is a big year astrologically, very big year. So and the nodes are going to switch later this year. The North Node is going to enter Aquarius, and the South Node is going to enter Leo. So there's a lot of things going on for me to be able to translate to you, and how to navigate that personally with your own chart. So this Mercury retrograde is going to begin this Thursday, February 26th. And this Mercury retrograde is going to begin at 22 degrees Pisces, beginning February 26th, and will retrograde all the way to 8 degrees Pisces on March 20th. So March 20th, Mercury stations direct and will no longer be retrograde. And what's interesting about this Mercury retrograde are the nodes, the North and South node, Mars being in Pisces. And so when the day Mercury retrogrades, March 26th, Mercury will be, February 26th, Mercury will be in Pisces at 22 degrees, while the sun will be conjunct the North Node at 8 degrees. So the North Node is this element in astrology that represents the future. It represents fate, destiny, the unknown, fated events. So with the sun crossing over the North Node, which happens once a year, it's this period of aligning ourselves with what is being asked of us in terms of our soul growth development, where we need to be moving towards in our future. And so with the sun crossing over the North Node in Pisces, part of this whole North Node in Pisces theme transit over the last year has been about surrendering to the greater plan, and learning to cultivate a true sense of spiritual faith and connection with your spirituality, remembering those connections, because the South Node is in Virgo. And when the South Node is in Virgo, collectively we're learning to let go of karmic patterns of things needing to be in order, and things needing to be in our control, and go along with the way we believe is the plan. But of course, there's always things that disrupt what we want to happen. And so it's this dynamic of learning to let go and trust the process. So with the sun crossing over the North Node, it's that reminder of what we have been developing and cultivating over this past year with the North Node in Pisces, is remembering our faith, our higher power, the spiritual forces, and how to connect with that, how to tap into that, and to surrender into the greater cosmic flow of things. So the day Mercury retrogrades, the sun will be crossing over the North Node. Now remember, Mercury represents the mind, okay? The mind, how we process information, how we communicate, hand-eye coordination, how we translate, okay? So Mercury in Pisces is a very confusing time for Mercury, because this is when Mercury is having to dissolve all the barriers that so Pisces is this element of dissolving barriers and connecting to all things, experiencing this oneness, okay? And the conscious mind, the human mind, needs these barriers, or else we'll go insane, right? The human mind needs these separation programs, these patterns, in order for us to draw our lines and find our footing, and being able to, know who we are, know ourselves, and to experience things, in an objective, subjective way. Well, when Mercury is in Pisces, these barriers, the separation dissolve, they fall away, and we become enmeshed in a profound openness and interconnectivity to all things, which can actually be very confusing for the mind. Okay, so with this Mercury retrograde transit, collectively we may be experiencing a sleepiness, a more tiredness, a grogginess, just this absence of mind, so to say. So you may experience yourself and see others daydreaming more often, not really all there. So connecting with others could be a little awkward right now with that. Okay, so the Mercury retrograde begins February 26th, while the sun crosses over the North Node. Then a few weeks later, March 3rd, we're going to have the Virgo lunar eclipse. Okay, during this Mercury retrograde, we are having the Virgo lunar eclipse, which will also be right around the time when Mercury retrograde crosses over the sun, which is called the inferior conjunction, right? There's an inferior conjunction and a superior conjunction. And so one is when Mercury is crossing over the sun retrograde, and the other is when Mercury is crossing over the sun direct, okay? And Mercury retrogrades, the whole thing about a Mercury retrograde is for the mind to process and evaluate things, because the mind and consciousness are two separate things. And the mind is always turning gears, always working, always processing, okay? Because the mind is our conscious self, which is 10%, and our subconscious self, which is 80% of our 80 to 88% of ourselves, okay? And our minds are constantly picking up signals, absorbing and processing information. So Mercury retrogrades are a way for us to go inward and evaluate and take another look at things, to make sure that all of the things that we are applying ourselves, that we are doing, are still in alignment with our heart and our consciousness. Okay, so this during that Virgo lunar eclipse, when Mercury is making that inferior conjunction to the sun, it's going to be a pivotal moment, because that's going to be, I believe, at 15 degrees Pisces. Okay, so that's when we're going to go deeper into this Mercury retrograde journey in Pisces. All right, so symbols are going to be a big theme right now. Symbols, dreams, trying to understand what deeper meanings may come through the most simplest of things, right? So like, for example, waking up in the morning and seeing that, a spider weaved a web around your front door, right? And like, it's like, okay, it's this process of like, why did this happen? What does this mean? Is it spirit? What's the message? And so it's opening our minds up to dissolve these boundaries of, logic and reasoning, and apply our mental capacities to communicate through symbols and profound, I don't know what the other word is, but through symbolism and messages, and figuring out what meanings could come about through this, and spirit. So it's this process of realizing just how real this whole oneness and everything connected actually is, which could be a trip, which could be a really, really real trip. So that's part of this Mercury retrograde. But what's also interesting is the day Mercury stations direct, when Mercury is no longer going to be retrograde, the day this happens, the sun will enter Aries. So March 20th is the spring equinox, which is the astrological new year. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, so we are going into a new year. Spring, the first day of spring. Okay, so the sun enters Aries at 0 degrees Pisces, which is, at 0 degrees Aries. So 0 degrees Aries is this Aries vortex point that we're going to be experiencing for quite a while, which is where Neptune and Saturn made that conjunction at 0 degrees Aries. So when the sun enters Aries on spring, we are going to be entering a whole new reality paradigm very fast. And it's going to be the day Mercury stations direct. And so when Mercury stations direct, that's the day where the mind no longer has to be in this deep internal process of things. And now it's ready to go forward. Now Mercury is ready to move forward towards the sun, towards the light. We moved as furthest away from the sun as we possibly could, processing in this inner way in the energies of Pisces, and now ready to move forward towards the sun with our newfound awareness and have a greater epiphany, have a greater understanding. And that day, March 20th, guess what degree Mercury stations direct? 8 degree Pisces on the North Node. So again, it's super interesting that the day Mercury retrogrades, the sun is on the North Node. And then the day Mercury stations direct, Mercury returns to the North Node, all at 8 degrees Pisces. So you want to know where this Mercury retrograde is taking place in your chart, because this is such a profound one that I can't really squeeze all into this video. But I need you to keep in mind and understand that for the last 25 years, there have been major, big transits moving through Pisces. From 2003 all the way until 2011, we had Uranus move through Pisces, disrupting things, making all kinds of changes and chaos in the Pisces realm. And then at the tail end of Uranus moving through Pisces, we had Chiron enter Pisces, which triggered this major wave of the collective doing this greater karmic healing in the Piscean themes. And then as Chiron was beginning his transit through Pisces, Neptune entered Pisces in 2012, and now Neptune is finished with Saturn as well. So the Pisces domain in our lives, in the collective, and in your own personal chart has gone through a lot of work over the last 25 years. That is more than half my life, okay? And now it's free. Now it's like, my wife's a Pisces, And I'm seeing her turn on right now. I'm seeing her really emerge and just beginning to blossom into a whole new frequency right now. And she has no idea that she's experienced so many intense planets in Pisces, all right? And this Mercury retrograde is very important because this is the first Mercury retrograde in Pisces that we are experiencing over the last 25 years without the influence of a heavy planet in that domain of Pisces. And we are realigning with that North Node in Pisces to our spiritual power, to our ability to connect with God, with our own higher self, which is greatly needed right now in this time where humanity is so confused and so overtaken by fear and doubt and uncertainty. We need to establish this connection, because what's going to come about afterwards, when the sun is now going into Aries and we have all these Aries energy, and when the nodes switch, okay, we are moving into a time where a lot more action is needed, and we need to become clear with ourselves and more certain in our knowing and more empowered and with our embodiment with source, with our God power, because we need that power right now to stand in the face of the darkness, to stand in the face of the chaos that can be extremely terrifying if you're a weak, scared, timid little bitch that doesn't know your own power and that you are fucking God. All right. So we need this right now. We need this remembrance. We need this connection. So again, this Mercury retrograde, very special, very powerful. So if you'd like me to interpret how this Mercury retrograde transit will be affecting you personally, if you have any planets in Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius, this Mercury retrograde is going to be really influencing your mutable domains of your houses in your chart. So yeah, again, video is long enough. So use coupon code FIREHORSE. Go to sleepingshaman.com, and I'll be honored to be of service to you. Peace.